So yeah, women are amazing. We all knew that though, right? They're frequently overlooked in history. One of my favourite quotes from one of my favourite movies, The History Boys, is by Dot, the history teacher, and she kind of snaps. She's fed up with all of these idiot boys and idiot men. She releases this just amazing tirade, and she says, can you for one moment imagine how depressing it is to teach 5 centuries of masculine ineptitude? Why do you think there are no women historians on TV? I'll tell you why. Because history is not such a frolic for women as it is for men. History is a commentary on the various and continuing ineptitudes of men. What is history? History is women following behind with the bucket. She's kind of magnificent, and I love her. Deeply and truly. What with it being International Women's Day and it's my mum's birthday this weekend on the same day as Mother's Day, and all of this stuff has just combined, and it's made me think about the women in my history, in my family history in particular, and how little I really know about it, and how little I really know about them and their lives. We were on holiday in Cyprus visiting the British Army base last summer, and that's where my granny and my mum and my aunt spent like a good few years of their life, because my gramps was in the army, so they lived on this army base. And while we were there, details about my aunt's divorce from her first husband came up that I just had no idea about. You know, obviously they hadn't told the kids because, you know, some of it was pretty private, but, you know, stuff like that makes me wonder what else I don't know and what else I'd like to know, you know, without being too nosy, obviously. And I know, like, rough outline sketches of their lives, but nothing too detailed. So I know that my granny on my mum's side, Wendy, she's obviously educated. She had a career in medicine, she was a doctor. She married my gramps, Ken, who was a colonel in the army, so, you know, moved around a lot because of that. And they had 2 daughters, Patricia and Diana, who was my mum. And Trish also went into medicine, also joined the army, married her first husband and had her daughter, Sophie, and then later left Simon and got with Nick, who also came from the army. There's a lot of army in my mum's side of the family. And Diana, my mum, I know that she went to Nottingham Trent University, where she was intending to be a vet and then ended up falling into agriculture and has become a cow nutritionist and has basically never looked back, and she works all the time and she really loves her job. So she always gets cow-themed presents. She's used to it by now. And she met my dad, and they married and had 3 daughters, me and my 2 sisters, Jess and Midget, whose real name is Nicola. I should probably mention that more often. My granny on my dad's side was called Pat, and she had a twin, has a twin. Her twin's still alive, so I don't really know how the tenses should go. But her twin's name was Margaret, is Margaret. Ugh, tenses. And she was a really amazing person. I know more about her than I do my other granny, which is something I hope to fix. She was an amazing English student. She got a first from university and she became a teacher and a headmistress, and she was really amazing, actually. Like, she just did all sorts of things. She spent a load of time in America, and she did all sorts. And she married my granddad, John, and they had 2 kids, Stephen and Sue. And Sue I'm going to be living with next year because she lives in Bath. I know about her that she failed her driving test like 5 times, and she ended up going into nursing, and funnily enough married a driving instructor called Innes, and they had 2 kids, my cousins Ella and Danny. And of like our generation, like the lowest generation so far, Sophie's the oldest of us, followed by me, then Ella, then Jess, Danny and Midget. And I know more about us than, you know, the generations above us, obviously, because I've grown up with them. It's like too much of what I know about my granny on my dad's side I only found out after she died. I found out loads of stuff at her funeral that I just hadn't known before, no one had told me and I hadn't thought to ask. And I don't want that to be the case for any of my other relatives. My aunt on my mum's side, my aunt Tricia, she has cancer, so I don't really know how much longer I have to get anything from her firsthand, rather than stories from my mum, from my uncle, from my granny. You know, I want to find out more. I want this year, especially, to be the year that I find out more about my family, about the women in my family and the men in my family, of which there are actually precious few, as you have just discovered. I want to find out about them and celebrate them. And you should celebrate the women in your lives as well. Yay! It's International Women's Day!